Welcome to another RMS support tutorial video. Our topic, RMS funding method overview. In this tutorial, we'll cover RMS funding methods. We'll discuss pre-planned obligations, compute obligations, and what it means to manually enter obligations. Let's get started. Funding method. This is very important. What is a funding method? This very important setting determines how contract funds are spent. How RMS allocates progress payment amounts is governed by the selection made here. Click on the box to select from one of the three methods available. The method used on most contracts is in the first choice. Track funding. Track funding at funding account level. Pre-plan obligations for payments on all CLINs. This option allows you to pre-plan how you are going to pay for the contract award, changes, and modifications. This option gives you complete control of how the contract funds will be used. The option requires you to maintain each funding account and requires you to predetermine obligation amounts for each contract line item. While this option gives you the most control, it also requires the most input. The Pay Request Obligation tab information will pre-populate. This will mean that when you go to the Obligations tab in the Progress Payment, RMS will assign obligations to CLINs based on how the obligations are set in the Awards CLINs module and Contract Modification module. Track funding at project level. Compute obligation amounts for payment based on available funds. This option does not require you to identify expenditures at the funding account level. It requires you to maintain the funding account only at the contract level. Funding for pending changes or modifications does not require pre-planning. Contract payments are based on the available obligations when the payment is made. Monthly payments will be based on the predetermined allocation split. Any payments made will not exceed the available funding. This is the easiest of all options and is also recommended if the total source of contract funding is not known at award. The Pay Request Obligation tab information will pre-populate. This option will not interfere with the calculation of percent complete. It will simply assign the CLINs to the obligation which is available for funds at the time of the payment. The last option, manually enter obligations. Use this method to manually select the obligation line from which to pay. RMS does not make an automatic selection. This will mean that when you go to the Obligations tab in the Progress Payment, you will not see any computed obligations, and the user will need to assign the obligations to the correct CLINs manually. In summary, we've discussed RMS funding methods, pre-planned obligations, compute obligations, and manually enter obligations. I hope this tutorial is helpful, and thanks for watching.